cleaning up and then changing a toxic company culture. Today on BCP. Hey there, Proud Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Blue Collar Proud Show. It's the show all about having and living the blue collar business dream. If you can dream it, you can build it. And Taylor and I want to be a part and along for the ride of that journey toward your success. Thank you for tuning in every single week. My name is Carter Harkins. With me every week here, smiling for some strange reason I don't know yet, is Taylor Hill.
Well, I'm smiling because there are people in our studio that are kind of dancing for some reason, and I think they're just having a great day.
We are
you know,
good
so
day.
it's just, you just like it when everybody around you is in just awesome moods. I mean, we're talking about culture, so
Yes, we are.
I'm sitting here just thinking, what a great culture we have here in the studio. People are smiling, they're laughing. Got a couple of people, doing the hokey pokey over here, and just having a good old time. And man, it just can't hardly get any better.
Nope, absolutely not. Maybe only one way it could get better, and that would be with our sponsor.
There you go. Like that.
I'm looking for segues, guys. So this is our sponsor. It's our company, but it's also the sponsor of the show, Closing Commander Contractors. Somewhere in your office is a pile of open estimates and proposals. Trapped in that pile could be thousands or even millions of dollars. So it is definitely time to start unlocking it today. Unlocking those trapped dollars with the automated sales follow-up system created by Closing Commander. By automating your follow-ups using Closing Commander, you can do what many businesses are doing right now, closing 15%, 20%, even 30% more of the open estimates and proposals in your business. Some elite users in the Commanders Club have even closed 6 figures of additional revenue. Imagine that, 6 figures of additional revenue, and they did it in less than 6 months. So get rid of the stack. Start unlocking the cash that's trapped in your estimates today with this special offer. Listeners of the Blue Collar Proud Show can sign up right now using the link in the show notes or in the BCP Show app, and you will get your first month completely free. Use the link to sign up today, or for more information, go to www.closingcommander.com.
Okay, so I'm going to throw a wrench in this real quick because I want people to know that I was the guinea pig for Closing Commander. I've been in sales, marketing for about 25 years.
Yep.
And let me tell you, I use it. I have a little bit different set of emails than what we have for the contractors, but it works. I know it works. You can call, email, text out of it. It is fantastic. If you don't take advantage of the offer, you're crazy.
Thanks for that. You've actually been the guinea pig for a number of systems that were before this one.
Yes.
Before we decided to build our own, because all of the other ones were so complicated and complex that you were just going crazy.
Yes, because I am not a person that likes complexity. I want something that just does what I dang well want it to do. And that was my biggest frustration, because you get all these systems that do 15 different things, and it's like, I don't want 15 different things. I don't need all that. I want this one thing. And so, yeah, I just wanted to throw that in because I've never, ever said that. And I think it's important for people to know that, man, it's just easy.
Yeah. No, that's good. So today's topic, we're talking about toxic cultures. You remember that? I don't know why I just thought of this. There used to be this little green and black symbol, round symbol with a frowny face on it. I think they called it Mr. Yuck. Yeah. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
You get them from somewhere like the Center for
Disease Control.
No, it wasn't disease control. It was like, I can't remember what it was. But anyway, all over our family, like all the stuff underneath the cabinets that were toxic chemical cleaners and things like that, Mom would stick those stickers.
I think they came from the poison.
Yes, the poison control or something. Yeah, that's what it was. Centers for Poison Control.
Yeah, and if you put that on there, and so everybody needed to stay away from that.
Right.
Yeah,
well, I have walked into and known businesses that need a big old Mr. Yuck sticker on their company business. I mean, it's just, toxic culture. Yeah. And so we're going to get into that today. But before we do, I want to actually list. I just read this article in Forbes called 10 Shocking Workplace Stats You Need to Know. We've got a link to it in the show notes today, but I just want to give you 3 of those stats really quickly. All of these point to what a toxic culture can do in your business, how it can hurt you. So here's the first one. 89% of bosses believe that people quit because they want more money. 89% of them. So which is convenient because we all like to absolve ourselves of any guilt. They just left because they wanted more money and I wasn't going to pay them more. It's not me. I'm not responsible. So the truth is, though, that only 12% of employees actually leave, citing the reason that I need to make more money.
Yeah.
79% of people who quit their jobs, the reason that they cite for leaving is the main reason is lack of appreciation.
Yeah.
I thought that was fascinating. 58% of people, this is the third one, 58% of people say they trust total strangers more than they trust their own boss.
Sure.
Ouch. I mean, that's the power of when you're not getting it right. Those are the kinds of statistics. And the fact is that over 75% of employees right now, this is a recent poll, say that they feel completely disengaged in the job that they're doing. So if you have a culture that you don't like and a job you can't connect to, you just disengage. You know what the productivity cost of that is to your business? That's so huge.
Yeah.
So, Taylor, I want to ask you, based on these statistics, based on what we're going to talk about today, when it comes to a toxic culture, whose fault is that really?
It's the leader's fault. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, because I have seen companies that are so toxic and terrible that when the leader of that company either change, okay, they get rid of whoever's leading a division or leading, whatever, and they change that, or that company owner has an epiphany and says, oh my gosh, look what I built. I need to get rid of everybody and start over. And that person has started to do the work on themselves that needs to happen. And it's totally changed their business, which totally has changed their lives. And that's the thing people don't realize. You choose. As the business owner, you're making the hires. You're choosing who to put in your business.
You're choosing who's going to stay.
You're choosing who's going to stay. You're choosing who's going to leave. You're making all those choices. Okay? And you think it's your employees making those choices, but you're setting up the conditions that an employee is either going to stay with you or leave. It's all you.
Yeah.
And I've had...
Even when it's not you, it's you.
It's you. Well, somebody said, I can't remember who it was, but it's been in the past year or two that I had a business owner say, I'm just sick and tired of people telling me that everything is my fault. And I looked at him and I said, so you want people to lie to you? And he looked at me and he goes, it's just not all my fault. And I said, no, it's your fault. I said, in fact, I will tell you, everything bad in your company is your fault. Everything good that happens is because you have a great team. That's it. Now, you're responsible for hiring a great team, but everything good in your business comes from that great team. You give them the glory. You can say, yeah, but I hired him. Good for you. You did a good job. You hired him.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, you want to grow, you hire a great team. You want to really grow, you hire people that do everything that you do much better than you do. Mm-hmm. I recently in one of the groups that I'm in, there was a post about, and she's a friend of the show, Brandy Biswell, posted this in one of her groups, talking about how excited she was because this girl that she thought was going to be really, really good on the phone is better than her.
Awesome.
And she was celebrating the fact that she's got somebody that's so good, so much better than her, that it's like a relief. Okay? So you see, we, as a business owner, if you've got a business to feed your ego, you got a problem. And that's what I see a lot.
Sure.
The business is the baby. The business is, this is anything that anybody says about the business hurts my feelings. and I'm automatically hurt. And we've talked about that. It affects you sometimes, but
Yeah.
you just got to go, you know what? It's just not about my ego.
Yeah.
This is about me getting better. This is about me being better. This is about me learning what I need to learn. This is about me giving the credit where the credit's due, because right now, in our marketing business, yeah, I'm a part of it. But on the day-to-day stuff, the wins that we have day-to-day, and it's not about me. It's about my team.
Right.
And they do an incredibly awesome job. And I want them to know they're the ones doing it.
Yeah.
I just get to watch. And oh my gosh, how awesome is that? And if you can get a business that gets you there and take yourself out of it and your ego out of it, and start saying, I'm going to build something great, and get those people in place and let them go and do what they do, man, your life will change. And their lives will change, by the way.
Yeah.
Because they're engaged, loving what they do, knowing they're helping people. It's a win-win.
Absolutely.
All the way around. Actually, it's a win-win-win. Because you win, your employees win, and your customers win.
I couldn't say it any better than that. But you've just proven the point that you cannot have a discussion about culture, toxic or good culture, without having a discussion about leadership. And I think that is something that we have to take responsibility for as owners of our companies. We're talking with somebody today who's going to continue that conversation too. She is one of our favorite people here at the show, Hope Stevenson. We've talked to her before. We've talked to her on a range of topics. But when it came to we just discovered one time after an interview call, we discovered how much we had in common with regard to the way that we view culture and leadership. Mm-hmm. We wanted her to come back on the show and talk about that. She's talked about it once before, but we wanted her to address the specifics of what to do when you as a leader look at what you've built as a culture and you go, oh my gosh, I did this. I need to take responsibility for it and I need to change it. So we're going to have that conversation, play that for you right now, and then we'll come back after the interview and talk a little bit more about it.
You bet.
Hope Stevenson, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
We're talking today about what to do when you've got a culture that has gone off the rails. Some people call it a toxic culture, just a bad culture, when it's the kind of culture that is actually repelling people and customers and employees instead of attracting them and helping it, become an even better company. I'm sure you've seen businesses and worked with businesses in this situation. What are some things that a business owner can do when their culture is toxic?
Absolutely. There's a lot they can do. And the first thing is probably the hardest to do. And that is really just to look in the mirror, because honestly, we tend to say, well, our culture's bad because we've got employees who have bad attitudes, et cetera. But the bottom line is that you let it get that way. Mm-hmm. You weren't intentional about your culture. So first thing is just kind of take accountability for it and just, okay, new day. I looked in the mirror. I let this happen. I'm no longer going to let it happen. So just stepping up and saying, just making that statement and finally caring enough about it to do something. And then the next thing really is defining what you want your culture to be. So most cultures, bad cultures are created because you're not intentional about it. So if we want the opposite of that, and we want a really, a good culture, something that's not toxic, we have to be intentional about what it looks like. And I really think the biggest thing is just sitting down and starting with yourself, but including your team and including your people. And if you're a small company, include loved ones that you know and trust, that know your business, and just having frank conversations and saying, okay, what should this look like? Like, what is our vision? What, if we have this dream company, what are we going to be doing and what is our purpose? Like, what are we here to do? And then for me, some of the most important things is, who are we? And that's core values.
Yes.
And just defining 3 to 4 really solid core values, that this is us. This is who we are. So everyone that works with us is going to have these. And then every decision we make, these are our check and balance points. If it goes against a core value, it's not a decision we can make. And once that definition, that's probably the most daunting step for most people, but it's the most important step. You can't change a toxic culture until you define what it should be. And then I think the next thing is really, and this is the thing people take too long to do. The next step, I'm going to call it step 3 we'll go in order here. Step 3 is really just to cut out the cancer, get rid of the people. And I don't want to sound blasé about this. I understand how difficult this is, but that bad culture created for a reason. First of all, you, and mostly because you allowed people to take your culture over. And so we've got to, once we've defined the culture we want, and it's clearly communicated, give them a chance to work with you on it and conform with you. But if they can't do that, the only way you're going to get rid of that toxic culture, unfortunately, if they're unwilling to go to the new culture and to work on the new culture with you and live by those core values, the only way you're really ever going to get rid of the toxic part of it is to not have those people in the business anymore. And I hear all the time, well, they're my best salesman, or they know something that no one else knows, or they've been with me for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I get it. It is hard, but that's the only fix.
So what do you, I just real quickly, when you hear that, I mean, because we hear the same thing, and sometimes it's my son or my daughter or my wife or my, whatever. How in the world do you help companies handle that transition going from someone that you think is important to your business or in your family? I mean,
yes, yeah.
What do you do if you're in that place?
So the first thing you've got to do is check that they have clearly given them a chance to be a part of a good culture. And what that means is, have they done what we talked about? Have they done the define stage? Have they clearly communicated it? And then have they actually implemented that to the level that they should? Because a lot of times people don't get on board because you didn't clearly let them know how they could get on board. So one of the things I'll do is we have everything we do in our construction company. Everything we do revolves around the core values. So when we talk about coaching or employee evaluations, the first 4 items that we talk about and look at are our core values. Whenever there is a celebration of some sort, whenever someone does something good, or unfortunately, whenever there's discipline needed, the language is turned to the core values. So for an example, so there's a company I work with, and they have a core value of serving others with excellence. Okay, so let's say they have a gentleman who works in the field, and they continue to forget to turn in paperwork. Okay, so they're supposed to go out, do a service for the customer, do paperwork, and then that paperwork has to come to a lady in the office. So, and they continue to forget to do that. So instead of me sitting down with them and saying, Bob, you haven't turned your paperwork in. Jim, you haven't turned your paperwork in. It's not about the paperwork. It's about the fact that what they're doing goes against the core value of serving others with excellence. So my conversation is more like, Jim, Bob, John, you're not serving Diane with excellence when you come the next day and don't have paperwork, and she can't do her job because her job revolves around your paperwork. She has to process that and process the payment. So just switching, to kind of bring that back to your original question, how do you work through that with people? And what if it's a family member or something like that? If you truly turn everything into this culture and core values, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that this person, if they can't conform to it, they feel uncomfortable enough about it that when you ask them to leave, sometimes they'll even leave themselves, or you ask them to leave, it's actually better for them also.
Yeah. You can see that.
So they get so miserable because you've hit this so hard and changed this so much. And if they can't conform to it, it goes against their grains, against their nature. Surprisingly, they're just as miserable as you are most of the time. We think it's just us being miserable, but what I've learned from experience is they're just as miserable as us. So when you do part ways, either it's mutual and or they go somewhere else, and then suddenly they're happier too. So I'm number one, just really make sure you're doing your part on the expectations, and giving them a chance to conform. And then number two, just work through it with them and understand that they're going to be happier somewhere else too if they can't fit. Is that kind of where you were going, Taylor?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it? Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I just wanted to know how you would approach it. And we approach it really very much the same way, that you have to be clear. I think clarity is one of the biggest things that we miss sometimes in our core values. We aren't really clear, and when we're very, very clear, it's real tough to mess it up.
It is. So let's talk about that for a second, because I like this. So how do we be clear, right? So being clear is the what, but the how is, first of all, core values are not just words.
Yes.
They're statements, and they're defined statements. So I like with core values, just a couple sentences that describe exactly what that looks like, because you can say a word and everyone in the room could have a different definition for that word. So you've got to have some definition behind the core values, and then really just exercises, like literally examples. So, what does this core value, give me an example of this core value. And you could do this in team meetings every morning. Give me an example where a core value was lived out yesterday and everyone can share. Or another activity I like is, okay, what is the consequence if we don't do this core value? So what are examples of where we did not follow this core value? So show people with little examples in what they're going to see day to day. And so you're going to have different examples for every position in your company and have them help you come up with it. But just always be, show them how it applies, not just the concept of it, but how it applies.
I think core values are something that really are, we raise those up in our business as a standard, and everything gets measured against those core values. We hire people to our core values. We fire people to our core values, and they help keep us all on track. I say it this way. I say that on our best day, our core values describe who we are. On our worst day, our core values describe who we want to be. And that's what we're striving for. So it's to the extent that core values are just a statement that are, a sheet that's taped on the back of the bathroom door, I think we're missing the point of the real power that core value statements can have to help lead a business. And those that take it seriously really do see the benefits of that.
It becomes a common language. Yeah, it's interesting. So, when you talk about culture, and if you just Google culture, a lot of stuff that comes up is not about business culture. It's about culture defined as, race and where you grew up and everything. And one of the things they talk about in cultures are often defined, like languages were built within cultures to give them a commonality for their culture. And so our core values become our culture's language, and everything can be turned in decision making, day-to-day responsibilities, the good, the bad, all of that. If we can use our core values as our discerning language within our company, it's pretty easy to make sure who's going to fit in there and who's not. And so just getting rid of the people who are not fitting in is the best way to fix your toxic culture.
Absolutely.
And then you mentioned it, Carter. And so just the next thing for me is really just hiring by those core values. So, now that we're trying to get rid of the toxic culture, just bringing someone else on who doesn't fit our culture isn't going to help us. So we've really got to, our hiring process has to be centered on culture, and will they fit in that culture, and what core values do they have? Do they match ours?
Yep. That's it. That's how you do a culture turnaround. You get rid of the people that don't match the newly defined and clear set of core values, and then you start hiring the people that do fit that criteria, and that's how you change the culture. Good stuff. Hope Stevenson, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you, gentlemen. I love working with you. Thank you.
I just like Hope.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I wish she lived here in Nashville so we could just talk to her all the time.
I know she comes in every once in a while, but yeah, she's just full of wisdom, and she and her husband have built a great business. I've had the chance to spend some time there in their business in Phoenix, and it's impressive what they've done. It was a good conversation, though.
Yeah, it really was. I want you to talk about this. You and I have both had experiences when we have not lived up to our core values, our company core values.
Yep.
I mean, we both lived through that.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want you to talk to that leader who they've established the core values for the company. And I'm actually kind of a two-parter question. But he kind of thinks that the core values are for everybody else but him.
Right.
That's the one thing. And then the other thing is the leader that knows that he needs to be living by those core values as well, but every once in a while he just messes up.
Yeah. Misses the mark.
Yeah, misses the mark.
All right.
So talk about that.
Yeah. So first of all, the business owner who has established core values but doesn't think that they apply to him has not yet established core values in his business.
Totally agree.
That's so we can just right there stop that conversation. If they don't apply to you, then they don't apply to anybody in the business, because everybody is going to look at that list of core values and look at you and determine whether or not you're serious. Mm-hmm. And if you don't live by them, if you don't hold them up as your standard too, nobody else is going to hold them up as their own standard voluntarily.
Agreed.
That's it.
Yep.
Now, when you establish core values and you miss the mark, I think it's actually easier in that scenario to course correct, than it is when you don't have core values and you miss the mark. Because when you don't have core values, nobody knows what standard to hold you to, including yourself. Mm-hmm. And you can look at what you did and go, well, situationally, it felt like the right thing at the time. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Let's just move on. If there's core values there and they're taped on every wall or hung on every wall, if they're on your website, if they come up in meetings and everybody knows what those core values are and you miss the mark, it's harder to just imagine that infraction away. Mm-hmm. It's harder to say, well, no big deal, right? In our business, I've had times where an employee sat down with me privately and said, this situation that just recently happened, I don't think that was us at our best, and I don't believe that you lived up to the core values in that particular issue. And I want to make sure that you understand why I think that. And I was able to hear that person and understand and see that perspective. I trust that the people that we put the core values out in our business, and I trust my employees to uphold those core values. I also know that means that sometimes they have to come to me and speak to power and say, you missed it, big guy. Yeah. And I have to take responsibility for that. I hope that I've been able to do that successfully, but that's something that we say in our business. Core values are that thing that you are on your best day and the thing you want to be when, on your worst day, right? It's what we ascribe to be or aspire to be. So that's how we treat our core values. But when someone can say, hey, one of our core values is this, right? And this is what you did. Do you see how those two things are different? It's real easy at that point to say, I screwed up. And I say easy. And I don't mean to make it sound like it was like, oh, piece of cake. I'll just apologize and everything's great. I fought it. I was fricking and fracking the whole way because I wanted to blame someone else or, blame other people. I wanted to figure out a way to squirm out of that because my ego was involved and everything else. But eventually I just had to say, no, I was wrong. I was completely wrong. None of what just happened would have happened if I hadn't done what I did. And so I'm going to take full ownership of this and full responsibility. And I needed to continue doing that for a while, just to make sure everybody understood how serious I was about the core values and me changing my behavior to match the core values. Because ultimately, if that core value couldn't support, if it wasn't good enough to course correct us, and me specifically, then it wasn't strong enough to do any good for us. And we might as well not even have that core value as part of our business. So it was that important to me to make sure that we got it right. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I think a lot, I've had my own set of issues that have come up that I've had to look at too. I think the thing that I have learned as the leader is just because you're the leader doesn't make you perfect.
No.
And so, and it also, just because you're the leader doesn't make you right. So there's this old adage that an old friend of mine said, a lot of times you can either win or you can be right, but many times you can't be both.
So true.
And so we have this thing as leadership that we're supposed to always have the right answer, be right, have the correct course, do it all correctly. But a lot of times if we hang our hats on that, we lose the war. because we're so adamant about we're going to be right that we don't win for our the sake of our culture.
Right.
And so, I really wanted you to. What you said was fine. I didn't know you were going to bring up what happened to you personally here, which is fine.
No, I mean, I'm transparent.
But I want people to understand that it's okay to be wrong and still be the leader. In fact, I think it's good sometimes that you're wrong, so that the people around you.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that says, "Oh, well, you screwed up, therefore you have a toxic culture," I think is absolutely missing the mark. If you screw up and don't do anything to course correct, everything that you've just done is now laying the groundwork for a toxic culture to take root.
Absolutely.
If you screw up and you realize it and you course correct and you do what's necessary to bring your behavior back into the standard of the core values you've embraced as a company, then you've got a really healthy culture.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of culture that everybody can look at and go, you know what, when our leader screws up, and gets it wrong, he does what he needs to do to make amends and get it right. We should follow that standard.
Yes.
And that's how you ensure everybody stays on track with core values.
So winning is aspiring to the core values.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you miss the mark, but you are going to be determined to be right, you're not aspiring to the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that really is the message. So that's fantastic.
Well, I hope this has been good for you if you've been listening. If you've recognized that your culture needs that guiding principle of core values in your business in order to help everybody stay on track to course correct. You may also realize that you think there are certain people on your team that they just don't have what it's going to take in order to get back on track and get a healthy culture. Then it is now up to you as the leader of a culture to take the action you need to take. And if that means letting people go, then that may be what is necessary for you at that point. But absolutely, action has to be taken in order to course correct. And sometimes that action can take a while, depending on how big your business is. Mm-hmm. We've seen turnaround stories from toxic to healthy that have taken 18 months or longer.
Yeah.
I kind of laughed the other day when I heard this Uber, because Uber has notoriously had a pretty
yes.
toxic culture, and it was led by their CEO. So they got rid of him, put a new guy in, and they've already started running commercials about how he's changed the culture. And I was like, wasn't that just 2 minutes ago? I mean, literally, when this guy took the position that he had, you don't change a culture that big that fast. I mean, and I know things happen fast in Uber, you know, and in that world of apps, but it takes time. To figure out where the toxicness is coming from, to bring things to a head and then pop that pimple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree. I mean, and you've got to be willing to do the hard work. It's what the thing that people don't see is on the other side of that work is really what we talk about building a blue collar proud business. You know, on the other side of doing the hard work really is the freedom. On the other side of doing that hard work is where you can relax because you've got a great team. And this, I cannot express this enough, that when you hire and create a fantastic team with a fantastic culture, it alleviates so much of the stress and pressure that business owners just carry around. Now, if you want to just carry it around, have at it. I personally didn't want to carry it all. And I don't want my team to carry it all either, but it's a shared thing now. Yeah. I mean, we share that. And that's really, to me, the message of a great culture, because you are sharing with that culture everything about your business. And it's a fantastic experience. What can I say?
Absolutely.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, you bet. Well, a few things here as we wrap up. 3 quick reminders. Number 1, check out our show sponsor, Closing Commander, at closingcommander.com, and use the link in the show notes to sign up and get 1 month free. Number 2, if you need online marketing services built for contractors and home service businesses, check out sparkmarketer.com. Give us a call to chat about how we can be part of the team that gets you where you want to go. And number 3, we would love it if you'd take just a minute to leave us a review over in iTunes, because good reviews over there, more reviews over there mean that we are able to serve more listeners and keep up this project of love and help more contractors get where they want to go, which we believe it comes right down to our purpose. We talked a lot about core values, but it comes right down to our purpose, which is to build a better world by strengthening blue-collar businesses. And we believe that helping more people through this show with free content help to grow your business and become a better leader is the way that we can do that. So help us by leaving us a review. Also, don't forget you can download our show app for free in the Apple App Store or from Google Play. Good content in that app every single week, lots of bonus content as well, and special offers just like the two that I just mentioned. So most of all, though, we just want you to come hang out with us over in the Blue Collar Proud Nation Facebook group. Enjoy the conversations and the engagement that's happening over there. You can also find out about all the other places where you can connect with us by simply going to bcpshow.com/connect. That is going to do it for this episode, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Taylor and I want to just thank you for being in our audience and listening every single week. I want to thank the people that make this show happen as well. Aaron Blaze, our technical director, Jessica Wynn, our show coordinator. Congratulations on the new house. And Jonathan Sanders, our community manager. Until next time, remember that it takes the same energy to build a business you hate as it does to take that energy and then use it to build one that you're proud of. We're talking about energy. It's the same energy either way. Build it the Blue Collar Proud way. See you soon.
The Blue Collar Proud Show is a production of the Blue Collar Proud Network.